In the beginning, when God created the heavens and the earth, God said, "Let us make humankind in our image, according to our likeness." But the serpent said to the woman, "Well, you will not die, for God knows that when you eat of it, your eyes will be opened, and you will be like God." So when the woman saw the tree was good for food, it was a delight to the eyes, the tree was to be desired to make one wise, she took of its fruit and ate. Part of being human is being aware that we are insufficient, that we're not complete in and of ourselves. To be human is to be aware that we carry inside ourselves an emptiness, a hole that we will always be restless to fill. Adam and Eve behold the fruit and conclude in a heartbeat that their hole is shaped just like that fruit. Yet after they eat, the emptiness remains. Their eyes were opened, but all that they knew was that they were naked. Jesus' eyes are opened in a different way. Just as he came up from the waters of baptism, the heavens were opened to him, and he saw the Spirit of God descending like a dove and alighting on him. And a voice from heaven said, "This is my Son, the Beloved, with whom I'm well pleased." And it was after that Jesus was led up by the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted by the devil. The tempter came and he said to him, If you are the Son of God." He challenges him by suggesting that the life God has for him is not sufficient. If you are the Son of God, you can fill this lack for yourself. You need not wait for God, who may or may not be there. You can be safe on your own terms. But Jesus has already received his identity from the Father. So not only is Christ revealing the divinity to us, he's also come to reveal us to ourselves. Not only is Jesus truly God, but he's also truly human. And he is truly human precisely because he does not sin. All of our sin is nothing other than rejection of the truth of our humanity. God made a love-centered universe. In essence, what God said to Adam and Eve, "I'm giving you life. As long as you receive it, it will always be life-giving. But on the day you begin to take rather than receive, your actions will begin to deal death, distrust, alienation, nakedness, and shame. To be love, something must be received as a gift. Adam and Eve tried to take by force what was offered as a gift. Just last week, Jesus reminded us that the whole created world is a gift. Look at the birds of the air, he said. They neither sow nor reap nor gather into barns, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them. And then Jesus reminded us, strive first for the kingdom of heaven and God's righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. To seek God's righteousness, then, is to have our emptiness filled from outside ourselves. St. Augustine said, "You have made us for yourselves, O Lord, and our hearts are restless until they rest in you." The temptations that Jesus faced masquerade as a trust in God, but it is a seeking of certainty in life, when one of the essentials of healthy humanity is learning to live in and with uncertainty. At the end of Matthew's Gospel, the risen Christ meets the 11 disciples on the mountain. And Jesus came and said to them, "All authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me." So in other words, when the devil took Jesus to a very high mountain, he's inviting Jesus to shortcut the road to, quote, "all authority in heaven and on earth." You do not have to die. But Jesus will tell us he does have to die, and he invites us to follow. So at their root then, the temptations are about avoiding death. Oh, you will not die. Our deepest fear comes from knowing that we will die, and from knowing that we have almost no control over how and when we shall die. Carl Jung said most powerfully, any form of neurosis is always a substitute for legitimate suffering. As St. Paul said, just as sin came into the world through one man, and death came through sin, so death spread to all, because all have sinned. But the act of righteousness of one leads to justification and life for all. By the obedience of one, the many will be made righteous. The irony of this passage of the temptations is that by his obedience to God, Jesus is in fact enabled himself to become the bread by which people can live, because it is the same as the word which comes from the mouth of God. He's able to become a new temple from which he refused to cast himself down. And finally, in his death, he becomes the king of all the kingdoms of the world.